call the meeting to order. Special board meeting Tuesday, May 24th, 2011. Alderman Barnhill will give the invocation.
Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, again, we come to you in prayer tonight. Thank you for this blessed community. And we give you thanks for the blessings, because we know that without you, we would not have these blessings and not have the things that make life so desirable here in Franklin. We ask that you be with the soldiers that are in foreign countries, that are protecting our freedoms, protecting our rights. We ask that you be with the families of those people and give them encouragement, give them guidance, because it's a difficult job and a difficult position to be in. We ask that you be with each of us tonight as we make decisions that ultimately will affect all the citizens of Franklin. I ask that you give us spiritual wisdom, spiritual guidance. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next agenda item is grievances or statements from citizens. Our citizen comments on non-agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll go on to communications from Williamson County Mayor and Williamson County Commission. I see no one here. Next is approval of minutes for April 26, 2011 work session, April 26, 2011 Board of Mayor and Aldermen, May the 10th, 2011 work session, and May the 10th, 2011 Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next is recognitions. Welcome back, Delta Company. First order of business tonight, we'd like to welcome back our adopted soldiers, Delta Company, 1st Brigade of the 327th Infantry of the 101st Airborne Division. We're so glad they're home now, and we want to let them know we're very proud of them and thank them for their patriotism and dedication to freedom and democracy. So I think it'd be appropriate first to stand up and applaud them. I'd now like to read a proclamation from the City of Franklin. Whereas the City of Franklin officially adopted Delta Company 1 327th 101st Airborne Division Air Assault in November of 2004, and whereas the men of Delta Company and their families have formed a special bond with the residents of Franklin, and whereas the 2010 Delta Company was deployed to Afghanistan as part of Operation Enduring Freedom, and whereas the men of Delta Company are dedicated and committed to peace and freedom throughout the world, whereas during this tour, 4 members of Delta Company made the ultimate sacrifice by losing their lives in defense of freedom, and whereas the City of Franklin would like to respectfully pay tribute to these courageous heroes, therefore it be proclaimed on this day, May the 24th, 2011, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Franklin does hereby declare these 4 brave soldiers honorary citizens of the City of Franklin. Private First Class Benjamin Glenn Chisholm, 24, from Fort Worth, Texas. He is survived by his wife, Amber Ferguson, his mother, Linda M. Reynolds, and father, Glenn Chisholm. Private Charles Milton High IV, from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He is survived by his mother, Kimberly Johnston, and his father, Charles High. Next, Specialist Shannon Chihuahua, 25, of Thomasville, Georgia. He is survived by his wife, Kristen Chihuahua, daughters Sophia, Annabelle, mother Denise Dinkins, and father Sebastian Chihuahua. Specialist Jonathan Pilgrim, 22, of Great Falls, Montana. He is survived by his father, Rodney Pilgrim, and mother, Roberta Pilgrim. As we get ready to have a moment of silence, I would like to remind people that we will be offering memorial pavers for these soldiers, as well as other veterans, on Memorial Day on Monday, May the 30th at 10 a.m. So if we could experience a moment of silence in recognition of these fallen heroes. Thank you. And then the last proclamation is for the Bicentennial Presbyterianism Day. Saturday, June the 11th, 2011 marks the bicentennial celebration of the historic founding of the Presbyterian faith in Franklin. We have a proclamation that details the formation of the Presbyterian Church in this community and the contributions that were made along the way by their congregations. I'm going to read tonight a shortened version of that proclamation, but the full proclamation will be included in the minutes and read at a later time for the church. Whereas the denomination known as the Presbyterian Church in the United States of America conditioned ordained missionaries from the eastern states to organize congregations of that faith and to establish schools in these new settlements west of the Allegheny Mountains and east of the Mississippi River. And whereas in 1806 the first Presbyterian congregation in Williamson County was established by the Reverend Duncan Brown in the New Hope community, to be known henceforth as New Hope Presbyterian Church. Whereas on June the 8th, 1811, the Reverend Blackburn organized a congregation of 46 members in Franklin, and a house of worship was erected in 1815 on College Street, now Bridge Street, near the city cemetery. Whereas in 1811, the Reverend Blackburn organized the Harpeth Presbyterian Church. Whereas in 1811, the Reverend Blackburn was engaged by civic leaders to open and administer the first institution of formal learning known as the Harpeth Academy, which would educate alike the male children of the Scotch-Irish settlers, the African-American slaves, and the Native American Indians. Whereas in 1842, the Franklin Presbyterian Church purchased property on the corner of Main Street and Fifth Avenue South in order to relocate the congregation and to construct a second house of worship. Whereas in 1847, the Reverend A.N. Cunningham, pastor of the congregation, known by that time as the Presbyterian Church of Franklin, was named to open and direct the Franklin Female Institute, located at 5 Points in downtown Franklin. And whereas in 1887, the Bethesda Presbyterian Church opened at the Bethesda Crosswords, having been founded as the House of Mercy in 1810 and serving until 1830. Whereas in 1887, with the prosperity and commercial redevelopment of the downtown area, the elders of the First Presbyterian Church voted to raise the 1842 building and to erect a larger house of worship in the Romanesque revival style. And whereas in 1988, after 100 years of growth in the city of Franklin and the congregation of First Presbyterian Church at 5 Points, the members voted to purchase property at Franklin Road and McHatcher Bypass in order to construct enlarged facilities for its worship and missions and to expand Franklin's first kindergarten and preschool program, which it had created in 1952. Whereas on September 13, 1992, the Presbytery of Middle Tennessee chartered a new congregation to be known as Historic Franklin Presbyterian Church, with a mission to occupy the historic facilities at 5th and Main Streets. Now therefore, I, Dr. Ken Moore, Mayor of the City of Franklin, do hereby recognize the bicentennial of the historic founding of the Presbyterian faith in Franklin and designate Saturday, June the 11th, 2011 as Bicentennial Presbyterianism Day. So I know we've got some members of the congregation, so if they'd like to stand and be recognized, and I'm glad to do that. Miscellaneous reports. Oh, yes. Excuse me. Go ahead, Alderman Skinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Sunday, June the 12th, the Franklin Roundtable will present The Mystery of Ulysses S. Grant. Called a butcher by some, a mastermind by others, and a consummate soldier by many more, Ulysses S. Grant possessed a deeply stoic demeanor, which led his contemporaries and historians to wonder exactly what made him tick. The Franklin Civil War Roundtable proudly presents Western Kentucky University's Dr. Glenn LaFontese, who will explore the wartime successes and failures that made the man and ultimately shaped the course of the Civil War. The Franklin Roundtable is a educational wing of Franklin's Charge, and they meet each Sunday at the Williamson County Library at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, each second Sunday of the month. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is a consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body. They will be approved as recommended by committee or staff by one motion of the governing body. Does anyone want to make a motion in this regard?
We need to pull 2 items from the consent agenda.
Is that a motion?
Yes, item 22 and item 31.
There's a motion, and then that would be approval of the remaining items?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Seeing none?
Was that number 31, sir?
22 and 31.
Old business, this is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2011-10, an ordinance to rezone 0.94 acres from civic and institutional to central commercial for the property located at 112 and 118 Bridge Street. Would anyone like to speak? We'll just go to the podium there. Introduce yourself.
My name is Joy Morris. I'm the Vice President of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. And speaking on behalf of the association, which represents the residents and property owners and friends of the original 15 blocks of downtown Franklin. We are very much in favor of this rezoning ordinance. We like the concept of a new city hall, a mixed use, one with the hotel. We think it's a good thing for Franklin, and nothing can happen until the rezoning happens. So we ask you to pass this resolution.
If everyone will hold that comment, because
It's the next.
that's the next one. So does anyone want to speak to any further about what we'd call the old new jail property down in that area? I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Next is number 11, public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2011-11 to be entitled an ordinance to rezone 4.24 acres from civic and institutional to regional mixed use for the property located at 109 3rd Avenue South. This is a public hearing, and we've heard comments already in that regard. Is there anyone else that wants to speak to it? Yes, sir.
I'm Jay Wade. I live at Jefferson Drive. I am not a downtown resident. I'm one of the other citizens of Franklin. And my concern is City Hall. Now, the downtown residents may think a boutique hotel is a good fit, and that's their call. My concern is City Hall because it's my City Hall too. And I don't think we should be trying to pigeonhole City Hall into a boutique hotel, because in future years that will ensure that we have to have scattered offices because you will simply run out of room. And it's my opinion that City Hall should be moved out, further out, down Columbia Avenue. There's a lot of other possibilities. And there, build a new building with plenty of parking plenty of access so that the other citizens of Franklin can come down and do city business. I've been in government for 25 years. I have never known a public-private partnership to work out very well for the public side of the equation. And I would implore the board not to enter into any public-private financing. It is a bad idea. Now, if the board wants to keep City Hall downtown, then it should be a separate, standalone building, separate from any private development. Thanks for your time.
Any other comments?
Hi there, my name is Andrew Dellinger, and I'm running for Alderman at Large here in Franklin this year. I do have opposition towards the entire building of a new city hall as it is, that being that it's going to cost $20 million and we're already $82 million in a foothole of debt as it is. So my question is, how are we going to get ourselves out of the debt and still spend $20 million on a new city hall if we can't afford to get ourselves out of the debt as it is? So I stand in opposition for it.
Any other comments? I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Appropriate motion and second. Any further discussion? Alderman Skinner.
I've made my feelings known in the past, and I'm going to oppose this. I still think we're putting the cart before the horse. We need to get a ballpark idea of the cost and what we're going to get for the land before we devote so much staff time if we're not sure that we're absolutely committed to this.
Rezoning, isn't it?
Yes,
This is rezoning. Okay,
Yes, it
okay,
is.
all right.
But this is part of it.
Any other discussion? Alderman Peterson.
My real concern is the next item, which is the concept plan.
You want to wait
I
to
have
get to
fe-
that?
Well,
and
no,
then
I was going to say I have, because really, the rezoning in this case has to have a concept plan with it, and that would be the reason that I would vote against the rezoning. I don't necessarily have an objection to changing the zoning here, but I will definitely vote against the concept plan, so I guess that means that I shouldn't vote against the rezoning also, since they go together.
Any other discussion? Alderman McClendon.
I'm going to support the rezoning at this time, but mainly so that we can entertain discussions. I am not committed to a public-private partnership, but I want to hear more about it and reserve the right to say thank you, but no thanks. And then carry on with whatever decisions we may want to make about a purely public solution to the need for a new city hall.
Alderman Berger.
There's decisions to be made on all of this, as some of the aldermen have already spoken to, and I totally agree that we need to move this ahead, and does not commit us at all to a public-private partnership, as Dana said, and it does not tie our hands. So I'll be supporting this.
Any other discussion? Alderman Martin.
Well, I've spoken my piece many times about it. As a resident, as a tax-paying citizen, I strongly support this. I was here when this building was built. I brought my school children down to watch it being built. It has served its purpose. The plans that have been developed for the area, the block, seem to make a lot of sense. I have had many of my questions answered. I think we will have plenty of room. Heaven knows we need a hotel downtown. For those of you who don't think that, you don't stand out and send people to Cool Springs every day to spend the night. I strongly support this, and my downtown neighbors and residents also support it. So I thank you for your consideration, and that's my thought.
I might add one more thing. Margaret, since you do represent Ward 4, and you have a lot of support here for that, but I represent Ward 1, and that's the Cool Springs area, and I've heard quite a bit from the people in Ward 1 and some of the HOA meetings I've been out to speak at recently in the last 3 months, and there's overwhelming support from Ward 1 for a hotel downtown. And also, a lot of people ask me why we need a new city hall. And if you were at the work session and heard Dana's comment, it is, on the outside, people think it looks fine, but inside we have all sorts of problems. We have limitations that cost us money out of our pocket. We're actually just throwing money away trying to keep up with technology here and try to make a go of it. We have leaking problems. We probably have mold and all sorts of problems inside the walls here and the ceilings. To me, it's a very unhealthy place to stay for a long time in the future. So we do need to look at these different aspects of why we need a new city hall. Those are very valid reasons. And I have spoken that to people in Ward 1, and also when I'm out speaking, they have really come up to me many, many times, and I will touch on a lot of these things that are happening around the city, not just issues in Ward 1. I try to fill them in on what's going on in the city around in the different wards. So I just want to let you know that there's been a lot of support for that as well.
Seeing no other comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-2. Next is public hearing, consideration of Resolution 2011-13, a resolution approving a concept plan for Franklin City Hall PUD subdivision totaling 4.24 acres located at 109 3rd Avenue South by the City of Franklin. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Appropriate motion, second. Any discussion?
Well, this is where I have a concern. I do not think that this concept plan is presented. Well, first of all, there are parts of it that I understand can be that where information can come later on this, but as has been said before, the parking for this with the hotel as proposed in this is a good question. The traffic, the actual parking on the existing road, the internal streets and the traffic pattern that would expect a loading service to be served by the internal street that's shown here is very questionable.
Other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Passes 5-2. Next is a consideration of contract award to Utility Fleet Sales Limited of Bryan, Texas, in the total amount of $59,900 for a used 2003 International bucket truck for the Parks Department. Is there a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Next is number 14, consideration of ordinance 2011-17, an ordinance of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, adopting a budget for fiscal year 2010-211, providing an effective date. A public hearing date is established for June the 14th. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would just highlight a couple quick things about the budget just
Sure.
overall, since it's the first time it appears before this body. We're presenting a budget at $52.3 million, which is about 3% above the existing budget, but again, captures a lot of the reductions and savings that we've made over the last 2 or 3 years and is about 11% below where we were in 2011. So I would just highlight that for you, and it maintains all of our service levels. We are able to also continue to employ all of our existing staff. There are no layoffs, and I think it represents a solid spending plan and work plan going forward to continue the effective services and high-quality services that we deliver to the community currently. Also included in the budget that we presented to you is a series of performance measures and sustainability initiatives for each and every department within the city as we measure our performance overall and the value of what we bring to the community, not just the dollars we spend in the budget, but the services we deliver. And I want to thank our team that all stepped up to be a part of it. Every single department contributed in terms of the decision-making and the decisions that ultimately translate into a budget that lives within our means, but still delivers the services and at the service levels that our citizens expect. So there'll be more time to talk about this at the public hearing in 3 weeks, but just wanted to present that brief overview to everybody as we see this. And it's gone through extensive work with the Budget and Finance Committee really since February up until now to look at the various individual departments as well as the overall budget that was proposed at the beginning of May.
Very good. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. New business, number 15 under new business. Consideration of ordinance 2011-18, an ordinance of the City of Franklin, Tennessee, establishing the municipal property tax levy for the fiscal year 2011-2012, providing an effective date. The public hearing date is established for June the 14th, 2011. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Passes unanimously. Number 16, consideration ordinance 2011-26 to amend Title 17 of the Municipal Code to include tipping fees at the municipal transfer station for solid waste disposal use by private haulers and municipal vehicles, and to establish the creation of a fuel surcharge, establishing a public hearing on June the 14th, 2011. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. And second by Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
And we have the amendment with that.
You got an
don't we?
updated
Right, we have an
version of that,
updated
yes.
one. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 17, consideration ordinance 2011-19, an ordinance to amend the Title 22, Chapter 17 of the Franklin Municipal Code to increase the fees for collection of garbage and refuse, establishing a public hearing date of June the 14th, 2011. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 18, consideration ordinance 2011-25, an ordinance to amend section 16-507 of the Franklin Municipal Code to adopt by reference the specialty events grant policy. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Berger, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Discussion.
Had a-
I'm sorry. A little quick on the
Yeah,
trigger, huh?
Big trigger.
The concern whenever this came up before is that it only applies to certain events and it does not apply to some others. I know that there's rationale about that, but I did want to speak to concern on it, that those grants are available only for certain types of events. And it does have restrictions in it. It doesn't cover every event that we have in the city.
Any other discussion?
Especially, it doesn't cover profit. for-profit events.
Well, it also doesn't cover, I want to say, parades
Right.
and
Right.
races and
Like
things
small
like that.
5K run type thing.
That's right. It
Better.
does-
It's community-wide events is essentially the
Exempt.
threshold.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess the best way to look at it is, there's always been an expectation that organizers pay for police services in both community-wide events and things like a parade or 5K run, that sort of thing. But the community-wide events drive a wider range of city departments and city services to be employed to make those events work. And we're proud of doing that and proud of making that happen. This provides a mechanism for us to account for those costs, assign those costs, and also give credit to the event organizers that for the type of work they're doing, and give them, funding towards those cost elements based on what they're achieving in their events. And actually, this is in the proposed budget, does provide for funding for those, and essentially, it's in our non-departmental expense area, and then those funds would be allocated back out to the appropriate departments and help offset those costs that those departments are incurring.
Alderman Berger.
It also has to deal with impact, the kind of impact they're making in so a huge event like the street festivals has a larger impact than a parade or a run.
Yes, and even within the community events, the larger the impact, the more they're going to be able to
Right.
tap into the grant program,
Exactly.
as well as work with the special events team to update and improve the events going forward. That also, the grant program also provides for support of that.
Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition? See none, passes unanimously. Number 19, consideration of amendment number 1 to the Boyle Cool Spring 2 Joint Venture Road Impact Offset Agreement, City of Franklin Contract Number 2010-0191, to include the signalization of the Carruthers Parkway at Corporate Center Drive intersection.
Move to defer.
There's a motion to defer, seconded by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion?
To June the 14th, next following meeting.
The next,
Question on the deferral. Can I ask why you're asking for a deferral?
I think there's a certain amount of confusion because we got information late in the work session, and that wasn't resolved in the work session. This will give staff time to put together maybe some of the options
All right. So this,
that Boyle had asked for.
this
Can we hear from David? I think he wanted to.
No, I'm just here to answer
I don't
questions.
think we can until we vote.
I thought we
I don't know,
did resolve it.
I don't know if Mr. Balish from Boyle would like to address if the timing creates any issues for them. We just didn't raise that with him at the work session, so I don't know if there's any,
Does it?
if there, is there any
Just
concern with that, Adam, or not? Okay,
Good,
I just want to make sure we
good.
didn't.
Okay,
all in favor?
all right.
Opposed? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Next is number 20, consideration of agreement for reimbursement of cost recovery for sanitary sewer improvements with Rural Plains Partnership for the Goose Creek Sanitary Sewer Line.
Move approval.
There's a motion by Alderman Bransford. Is there a second? Second by Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
We must have pulled it for some reason. Or is this is...
No, we did
Okay,
not do
so-
that one.
It wasn't.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Got one more.
Next is number 21, consideration of the consideration of the appointment of Eric Jacobson as the Battle of Franklin Trust representative to the Battlefield Preservation Commission.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
This happened because there was a vacancy that occurred. This is a slotted position from the Battlefield Trust, and he is the designee from the Battlefield Trust as recommended.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, passes unanimously. Next is item 22, consideration of first and second quarter budget amendments. Is there a motion?
Move to defer.
We don't need to defer, we just need to change the title.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you.
And that title need to be changed to?
Just say third quarter budget amendments.
Oh, okay.
instead of first
And
and second.
and that's what the item says, but the listing says first and second,
And
so.
you can't make a motion, so is there a motion?
I'll make
Yeah.
the motion to change the caption from consideration of first and second quarter budget amendment to the third quarter.
Is there a second? Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Passes unanimously. Number 31, consideration of bid award to...
Don't we need to vote on it? We just voted to change it.
Yeah, you need to do
Now
the
we gotta
vote.
vote
You
on it.
voted to change the title.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So that was...
You need to take a vote, yeah.
Reasonable people wouldn't vote to change the title and then defeat it, so I move that we approve the item.
Thank you. So all in favor say aye.
Thank you for being reasonable.
Reasonable people, well, you never know.
I say that to corner you. It's a device.
We could make the meeting last longer.
Get out, Louis.
Number 31, consideration of bid award to A&A Sheet Metal Products, Inc. of LaPorte, Indiana, in the total amount of $18,204 per unit for one chemical storage locker for the Parks Department. Is there a motion?
Well, now, I pulled this one because of the amount of $18,204. And Eric, you need to address that amount, then we'll change the caption on this one also.
I want to just be clear on this. We actually bid this originally as two chemical storage lockers. When we talked about it at the work session 2 weeks ago, Lisa mentioned maybe only purchasing one and within her budget, but we've looked at this further, and the fact that we bid two to begin with, and we need two, and given where we are in the budget overall, we'd like to go ahead and purchase the 2 units. We think that makes most sense as opposed to awarding one and having to bid one right away next year. We need these 2, and we'd like to go ahead and
So
make
is the
that
dollar
award.
figure correct?
What amount?
So it would be,
No.
what's in your, $36,406 in 2 units, which is actually what was bid and actually is what is in the memo that went with this originally.
How
So
about the budget for this?
we believe we're going to be able to make that work within the existing budget,
In the
I
existing
move that we
parks.
approve
existing parks
I
budget.
move that we
Three,
approve
three, six.
the purchase of the 2 chemical storage lockers for the amount of $36,204? 406, something like that.
8, sorry, 8.
408,
Sorry.
We just changed it on this.
whatever it takes.
Second.
Any other
then
discussion?
some.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposition, I see none. Do you need another, since we, the way he said it is perfect. Is there a motion? Well, not quite perfect, but almost. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Perfect.
So moved.
That's perfect.
There you go.
That's good.
That's a perfect one. That's